That's what it was.
Call this meeting of the Shorewood Village Board to order at 7:51. All trustees are present except trustee Shorewood that's excused.
Right.
Has this meeting been properly noticed?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. I did want to just mention that the meeting is being recorded with the video recorder up there, so please speak into your microphones here so it's properly recorded. Move to the first item on the agenda, which is consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Takes us to item 6. Is there a motion to approve the August 29th special village board minutes?
I move to approve the August 29th, 2016 special village board minutes.
Was there a second or is this
Second.
fine with
Second.
I just have one comment.
Yes.
Since the meeting was held in a room that wasn't videotaped for the public to see, I was hoping to get a little more content in the minutes. I don't know if we can retroactively do that, or if maybe just remember for the next time.
I would see a problem retroactively doing such a thing right now.
I didn't make any notes, so I don't know if anyone has notes, but there's no discussion, there's no notes on the discussion that took place.
Okay.
I would say in general that I would also appreciate a little more detail on especially trustee positions and discussion, because sometimes I don't remember, and it's nice to just have a little more meat in the minutes. in my opinion.
And my last request is if we are holding a meeting, and if we could hold it in here so it would be videotaped until we get a committee camera in the future.
We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's no changes there, so all in favor of approving the village board minutes of August 29th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next item is citizens to be heard. This item is for matters that are not on this evening's agenda. Discussion may follow comment on non-agenda items, or discussion and action may come at future meetings. Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on non-agenda items? Yes.
I need to go up to the microphone? Okay.
Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Lynn Rothrock. I reside at 4024 North Prospect Avenue, and I'm here to discuss the restricted daytime parking that we have been working on to try to get implemented on our street. Last week, I went around with a petition to all my neighbors, as many as I could reach, contacted 20 of them, and 16 said that they were definitely in favor of the restricted daytime parking. Right now, we have a problem with many UWM faculty members parking on our street. I know that Chief Nimmer and before him, Chief Gansinski, did some research on the license plates, and at first we thought it was students parking there all day. It's not, it's the faculty members, and they begin parking at 7 in the morning and they're there till sometimes 6 at night. And so it really restricts the amount of flow that we have down the street. Sometimes at least half the block is full all day long, and sometimes even further. And myself, my husband, and 2 houses of our neighbors were affected the most by it because we live on the southern end, right off of Capitol, and that's where they begin parking. And so a letter went out last week saying that they didn't hear anything from our North Prospect Avenue street, that not enough people responded whether or not they wanted daytime parking or not. So I took it upon myself to go door to door, talk to my neighbors. Many of them said, oh, we just were busy, we forgot to write in, say anything. And I got 16 of them to say, yes, we definitely want the restricted parking. 3 of the neighbors said that they didn't really care either way, but they didn't want to sign the petition. And I had one neighbor who said he did not want it at all. That in his vision, he only saw 3 or 4 cars there at any given time. maybe it's because he works all day, and so when he gets home at 6:30, there are only 3 or 4 cars parked. But during the day, it's definitely a nuisance. And so I sent in the petition to Chris Schwartz and Chief Nimmer, and it was presented today at the committee board, and now we are included with the residents of Downer Avenue to hopefully have this go forward, and the lawyer needs to approve it. I'm not sure where it's going from here, but draft. So hopefully we will get the restricted parking, but we're here to be heard, and that's, more than half of our block wants restricted daytime parking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your speaking. Is there anybody else that wishes to be heard on non-agenda items this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is under new business, public safety. The consideration of door security agreement. Trustee Rosa.
Before you today, the village board has approved allocating $10,000 in the general capital projects fund from 2016 budget for village hall door security system. So this has been previously approved for allocating these funds. The purpose of the door security is to change from actual hard keys to swipe keys electronically. And there's 2 main benefits to doing the upgrade. One is security. If people lose their key, you don't have to change all the locks or risk not changing the locks and having someone duplicate the key and entering when they're not supposed to be in here. And secondly, it would allow staff to program the doors to open during regular daytime hours, as well as if there's going to be committee or board meetings in the evening, and that would save some staff time. I know this has been done throughout the region, including the district attorney's office and most municipalities. So with that, I'm going to go and recommend, I move to authorize the village manager to execute an agreement with Engineer Security Solutions to install door security at Village Hall for a total cost of $9,319, with the condition for the village attorney to review and approve the agreement with the door security vendor. And just to add, it was RFP'd, and this was the chosen responder.
Discussion? Is this just for village hall? It's not the library?
Yep. This would be for just Village Hall. We also received quotes to see what it would cost for the Village Center, because I think a future phase 2 of this could be the Village Center. After speaking with Rachel, the library director, they want to just hold off on that, because right now they're doing their facilities study. They want to take the time to go through the survey results from the study before committing anything. So just timing isn't right yet for the Village Center, but that would be a phase 2, so that's why we did get quotes, just to see what that would cost.
And is this just for the front door and the back door?
This would be the front door, back door, and actually also the clerk, treasurer, customer service door. So that would be closed and only access through a fob at all times.
Or you mean to get from the customer service into the back area?
Correct.
And not the historic society, no?
Correct, not that.
There's no access from inside there into that?
Into like Village Hall.
Village hall.
I mean, you would need a separate key, so yeah, so it's.
Who should be responsible for programming?
Good question. So when we have a new employee, myself as the HR director would program those. And then we have our payroll administrative specialist, Tony, who every week will do the meetings, and will train customer service, the 2 staff at the front desk, in case we need backups at all, like if Tony was gone for a week or something. So they'll also be trained in it, but Tony and myself will primarily be doing a good chunk of the work.
And then, I assume the system can record who is opening the door at any time?
Yeah,
Is
it'll
there a
record
record
which
kept?
fob is opening and we'll know, yeah, the order.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, state it, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, that takes us to 8B, JPNL, trustee McKay. And you probably would be for this one.
This item has actually been officially requested to defer to the 19th, the September 19th Village Board meeting, because Mud Pizza was not able to have a representative here tonight.
Okay. All right. Takes us to item 8C, Community and Business Relations, trustee Bachhorst, the Citizens Academy proposal.
Great. I think Tyler, are you gonna give a brief overview or should I?
If you want to go and I can.
Okay, I'll try to be succinct. So this is a proposal for a Citizens Academy for the village of Shorewood. Some of the main purposes of the Citizens Academy are to educate and to, I guess, foster kind of civic action, or that's not the right word, participation in our village, via helping communication, spreading the word, perhaps joining or volunteering for committees, commissions, etc., and also perhaps participating in, at whatever level possible, a lot of the village-wide activities that we currently have. There's no cost associated with this program. However, there is staff time that we do have to consider. Let's see. Tyler has mentioned this is something that he's very excited about and has experience with, and the 6 different proposed workshops, I guess I'd call them, 6, right, are outlined in our packet, and each would be about 2 hours on a Thursday night, 6 to 8, I believe, probably monthly with a little break in the winter. If we were to adopt this tonight, Tyler would get going on the advertising, and I believe begin in January or so. Is that right?
Yep, and we would start the recruitment in October, but the sessions would start in January.
And in committee, a couple of things that we discussed. Well, one was, what is the burden on staff, which Tyler, you can address if you wish. And additionally, Trustee Rosa and I were hoping to see the possibility of videotaping some of these meetings. They are closed meetings, not because it's a closed session or private, but it's because to create a more intimate environment for the participants. However, this is information that is useful for everyone in the Shorewood, as well as for recruiting, potential residents or shoppers or people to our village. It's quite interesting. I'm excited. This is something that Chris Schwartz and I have been discussing for many years, and thank you, Tyler, for putting the effort into forming this. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion, and then if there are questions, Tyler can answer those. So I move to authorize staff to implement the Village of Shorewood Citizen Academy as outlined in the program proposal. Well, I guess, I don't know if I would include this in the motion, but that I would encourage the village to either seek someone to record the sessions or be open to having someone come and do this at a lower no cost, but I don't know if that goes in the motion.
I would like to see more discussion on that.
Okay.
I would, because that could be a hindrance to people that want to even join the program too. So.
Okay, well, I guess I could come at a later date.
I would let it run I'd at least go through one session and just get it so Tyler has a chance to implement it here, the speakers get familiar, and see how it goes, the nature of the presentations.
We have to clarify the motion now.
Okay. And of course, anyone can move to amend the motion. So my original motion stands.
There's a second. Discussion.
Sure. Okay, so I was the one with Trustee Roberts not the entire sessions, meaning not the tours, but anything that was like a standing informational presentation part of the academy. So it didn't even have to record necessarily the questions and answers, but more of just the presentation. And the impetus, and I understand what Trustee Maher is saying, and I'm not against maybe waiting one cycle, but the impetus behind wanting that is a lot of people out there there's no overview besides, a small written brochure or something really short on the web, but there's not really an overview of what the village does on a daily basis for its businesses. So through the bid district, which would be very helpful for prospective businesses as well as existing businesses, I could refer them to say, well, look on the village website, you can see a little brief presentation on what the bid actually does. Or I could take another example, or if they want to know exactly what DPW does or how we do a budget, they would get a little bit of a presentation. It would probably be, 10 minutes worth of information, and it's a great overview. Trustee Maher and myself questioned the value, meaning that Tyler has mentioned once the program is up and running and you don't have to recreate the program anymore on a yearly basis, just annually, it would take about 60 hours of his time. So if you add that up plus all the speakers, which are going to be village staff, you come up with a significant chunk of investment of time for staff. And I think broadening it to beyond 20 people, getting that word out, we're getting more for our money.
So what you're saying is we would just do it 1 or 2 times, and then from then on we would just show it on video.
No, not necessarily, because we
That's what I
could
was-
discuss it annually, but if it could still be an annual thing, and you update that video every year. So it's a way to reach more than 20 people in a year. So for the amount of time and investment that we're putting into this program, we're reaching 20 people. And I don't know that that's a good investment trade-off for 20 people.
So what
Maybe do
part,
something similar with the police academy,
exactly.
police citizens academy.
Okay, and so a lot of these, as Trustee Rosick mentioned, there's a lot of information that will be presented, to a close group of 20 people that it would be beneficial, in my opinion, for a much broader audience. And having these video snippets on the site, on our website, always accessible, not just seasonally, would give people an opportunity to see. You can look at any of these sessions, like Session 2, Community Service through Representation and Volunteering. The last 4 lines talk about how Village Clerk Tanya O'Malley will provide a summary on voting in Shorewood, which I think would be really, really helpful for people. There's a YouTube video for almost everything, and when it's personalized and specific to your region, it's great. And then Assistant Villager Manager Tyler will summarize the volunteer options available at the village and other community groups. So this is a way for us to have a free marketing, not just of what we do, not just to attract people, but to give our residents a lot more information. As an elected official, I think that would be helpful for me, because I'm sure the rest of you get copious amounts of inquiries. Like, how do I do this? When is my garbage going to be picked up? This and that, which isn't our responsibility. That's a staff question, but still, we help out ways we can. And then even, going on to education and learning on the Session 5, here's an opportunity to highlight our award-winning school district online. And I know that's not the point of this program, but it would be a dual, it's amplification of the messaging, and it's free advertising, it's just like marketing, so.
And we could, by videotaping it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to show the whole thing,
It can be pretty boring.
Yeah, right? So it can be edited, to fit what we want, just to share with the public on a mass.
Right, like here's how you register to vote when you're new to, or existing voters or whatever in the community.
I guess one thing, as you look down this list, some of it's like a presentation on the current status of conditions and like voting. What order came out last week? We're discussing this within the context of the Citizens Academy. Maybe we should work to have some YouTube videos of some of our basic service, like voting. Maybe Tommy could do do a short thing, come to, and the garbage pickup, or routine things you get inquiries on, or maybe parts of this. Maybe if we go through it once, there's some part that will remain static and won't be changing, like the budget presentation. Maybe the speakers can construct the presentation so that there's a basic part, but if they actually get into what the current situation,
Right.
people get confused.
Or
so
you can
maybe-
leave it on and footnote it, and just say it'll be updated next year. I guess it just got down to the point of the amount of time we're spending on it to reach 20 people. We're putting in a big investment to do that.
Okay? Yes.
Yeah, but, one question I had was how many, staff hours are a resource and fiscal resource, and I don't have a sense from this of how many staff hours this would be and what the cost to the village would be to do it, which makes me a little hesitant. Secondly, there's, particularly with regard to the planning director, I know there have been requests for certain programs to come. For example, there was a request or some discussion about the facade improvement program being handled, and the planning director, said, oh, she absolutely had no opportunity or no free time. So, I'm a little confused about, it seems like she has a very full plate, according to certain things that some trustees have been interested in. And so I'm just concerned about her having available time to be doing something like this. I also had a question, at budget time, we had a long presentation about lean training and all kinds of aspects and how this was going to be the whole, how does this fit into what the village manager presented to us in terms of what was going to be happening this year with all that lean, I don't even know what to call it, lean program.
Okay. Which, I'll try to address those. If I don't want to address any of your questions, just feel free to ask me. I'll start with the last one, lean. So lean is an internal organizational initiative as far as basically the best summarization I can have. It's a formal idea sharing program where those that have an idea on how you can do something better internally that maybe it would save staff time or staff resources, that we can do that. And so basically it's just formalizing that and encouraging staff to bring those ideas forward. So, this is a very separate item. Basically for lean, you're wanting to find initiatives that can be save the village money or save the village time so you can do other initiatives that are also high priorities. So that would be my response to lean. As far as staff resources or time, the reason why we're bringing it to the board now is to provide ample time for staff that will be involved with this, that they can plan and put together if they're going to present a presentation. So like with Erica, for instance, as the planning director, she has 5 months that she can put together a 30-minute presentation for that session. And a lot of these, we do have like little 30-minute increments because no one wants to hear the same person talk for 2 hours. So that's one of the design structures, and it's meant to do on purpose to always continually be changing and updating. So you're hearing just a brief picture of, what do the building inspectors do, or what are the different code enforcement things, or just code in general, which those are the things that Erica would touch on. So, there's certainly time involved with putting together the presentation, but over 5 months, staff will put together the presentation, and then when it comes to the next year, you only got to make certain modifications to it based on maybe something you learned through the evaluations last year, or maybe some policies changed that you want to update your presentation. So really it's the front end where it's the time. Once you get that time and the presentation's done, it's very minimal impact for years to come. The last thing I would just put in, if I once again forgot a question, I apologize. But when I came here, I learned very quickly at Shorewood, we do a very good job communicating electronically. That we, through the manager's memo, Facebook, the information board, we have a lot of terrific electronic communications. But one of the things that I think we can do a better job on is communicating to people in person. And I think that's something that I've heard from countless individuals as being an initiative that we would like to invest the time in, so people can get that in an in-person form. And I think that's one of the things that this program does, is allows people that if they're not on Facebook or they don't want to subscribe to the manager's memo because maybe they don't have a computer, but this is a way that they still can get village updates, but in person. So I think that's kind of one of the beauties of the program as well. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's definitely an investment on my time. It's going to take, once October arrives, it'll be 5 hours a week that I'm collecting applications, promoting it, and then once the sessions start, letting the 20 individuals know that they need to be this place at this time, reminding them the speakers, getting evaluation forms ready. So there's those kind of things, but that's definitely something that the board needs to consider. 5 hours a week, if it's worth that commitment, to have that alternative communication method that we can do for years to come.
I would just add that, if staff wants to do this and you feel it's a valuable thing, fine, but I guess as a board member, when there have been times that trustees have come and said, can staff help with this or take this on or whatever, and the answer is, we have no time, absolutely no time to do that, sorry, that becomes a bit of a conflict for me to say, okay, well, let's start this whole new thing, but when I have a request, that we don't have any time.
Well, I apologize, without knowing the context, I don't know how to react to that. My only, my comment would be because it is 5 months in advance. Staff will have plenty of time to, if they maybe have more time in a certain week. So with the others, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that there's a little bit of contradiction in some of the situations where I've requested it and have been told, oh, there's just no time. So it's a surprise to say, oh, but we can start doing all these presentations and spend all this time to do this. So that's just my opinion.
Tyler, when I was reading it, I got the impression there were 3 sessions, and then there was kind of like a winter break, and then another 3 sessions.
Yeah, the winter break is
was the idea 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring? Or?
No, winter break is just 1 week off.
Okay.
So, because in my experience in the past, when you do 6 in a row, by the 4th or 5th one, people get a little tired, and the participation
Okay, so you're talking about a 1 week.
So we're talking about a 1 week break.
Okay. All right. Yes.
So the thing that I find most beneficial is if you spend this much time to bring all these great parties together, you've got library, you've got the senior resource center, you've got an explanation of TIF financing, which people are dying for, you've got the bid, which people barely know about beyond the people that participate on the board. So by having those, this is the biggest opportunity, and the time, if you could multiply that to reach a wider audience with technology today, that's creating efficiency. So for the dollar amount we're putting into it and time invested, our village, I know meetings aren't necessarily watched all the time or a lot at all, but something like this I really feel has value, and I would like it to reach more people. Even if you had to edit it, as Trustee Maher was saying about content that's not, applicable for the year, but a presentation on TIF financing by Mike Eller on video, I just refer constituents to that without putting a spin on it. It's just a presentation, and I would support the investment in this if we can capture it and spread it. The investment for 20 people, to me, a year is really probably not necessarily worth it with the other priorities that we have in staffing for other initiatives that have precedent. But if I could be assured that we could reach a wider audience in some form of, YouTube or marketing, using it for marketing materials or putting it out there in some fashion, even if it's snippets, I think there's so much value in it.
Yes?
I'm really excited about the program, and I think that it's a great investment, and I think it'll come back to us manyfold. And I think that I feel the suggestions and questions that have been raised tonight will capture so many of the opportunities that are potentials in running a program like this, and so it can grow. I wouldn't make any of them, I don't recommend making any of them conditional upon starting the proposal. I mean, I think the proposal is strong as it is, and then building upon it with those, taking advantage of those opportunities like Trustee Rosick has suggested is a great idea to look into with planning. I think that adding them on could overload the service board and, you know, make it difficult to start something like this. So I would just say that I like the program as is. It's consistent with what we've talked about for several years and what I've heard other communities doing. I think that we have a staff person that has experience with it and is motivated and inspired to lead something like this is a huge asset. And I would like to support that leadership and then add to it with all the creativity we have at the different levels of our organization.
I think there's another advantage too, and that's you know, by having the people prepare these 20, 30-minute things. You know, there's nothing like teaching for self-learning too. So I think that there would be a great benefit for the people who are actually putting on the presentations too.
It gives them an opportunity to get also, you know, hear from residents in the community. I mean, if I'm talking about, you know, something that I do on a daily basis, and I'm hearing from, you know, a resident saying, oh, I didn't know that, and all of a sudden now they're asking questions as far as, you know, well, why do you do it this way? It makes you kind of second think. And, you know, I even put in the memo, there could be potential improvements in our village processes from this too. Because there's, you know, it's a fresh perspective that they're going to have on these services, and they're going to ask a lot of certain why or what kind of questions, and that makes you really think. So I think that's going to be benefits with it as well.
And I think to really emphasize those, you know, the investment in those relationships of those 20 people, that is just a really great framework and approach to take. I think it's very worthwhile.
And can you talk about how people will be selected again?
Oh, absolutely. So it's going to be on a first come, first served basis. So probably like mid-October, I will send out the application. But priority will be given to residents. So if we end up having 50-some people, I'll go on the list, and if basically we would have to do all residents the first time. But it's okay to have 50 people interested because you already have 30 people lined up for next year. And that's the really neat thing about it. And you want this to be a long-lasting program. You don't want it to go for 2 years and all of a sudden no one else is interested. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you're investing a lot of, you know, the time up front, so long-term you get that as well. So it's going to be on a first come, first served basis. The applications will come to me. So as they're coming to me, I'll be keeping a list as far as when I receive them. And then about a month later, the application process for that session will close.
Assuming you have 20.
Assuming we have 20. And then, but even after that, people can still apply. It would just be for the next year's academy. So technically, so it's open. It's just, that's when we'll close it for that year. And if people want to start applying for next year.
You don't think we can charge tuition for this?
Well,
That's a joke.
No, you know, well, one of the last places, or when I was up in Woodbury, Minnesota, they did it with something similar, what we call the Shorewood Foundation here. It was their Woodbury Foundation. And they did have a $50 fee included with it, and they used that as a fundraiser for an event. So they actually tied it with like some kind of community event and that. So I don't want to propose that because I think just this is a great learning opportunity, and I don't want an admission fee to, you know, prohibit anyone from being able to do this. But I mean, that's how some people do these academies, is they will put a fee in it, and it'll go towards some kind of common cause or some kind of fundraising initiative the community is doing there. So there's that potential too, but yeah, I'm not recommending it.
Do you have some knowledge of other similar things going on in the area here?
Well, I mean, talking with my peers, this is kind of a new, I mean, there's nothing to this, like, village or citywide. So this is going to kind of be a new program for the area. But, I think that's a good thing. I think that's showing Shorewood, being proactive when it comes to communications and educating the residents. So.
Could you just let me know what would it be a big burden? I mean, what's, I think maybe we talked about what would be the obstacles to videotaping?
Oh.
Okay, and I think, I'm going to just say one and maybe you can expand, but was finding, if we don't have a budget, was finding someone to do it, not you, because you have your plate full, but someone on the outside that would volunteer their time. And if that happened, was there anything else?
So there's a philosophy if you tape record the whole thing versus just the presentation. Because if you do the whole thing, I think the disadvantage to that is there's going to be some people, because they don't want to be video recorded, may not ask as many questions as they want to. And we want to encourage that. So I would definitely say if we video record, we only want to do presentations. Because then we turn off the video recorder or the cam recorder and people feel, I mean, there's at least not that discouraging them from doing that. The only thing, I think the added bonus is that it is available for the public, that if any of them, want to know any of this information up front, they can certainly do that. Or any new residents, that information is ready for them, or readily available for them. We can have it on the website. So those are some positives. The only negative that I can truly think about is if anyone is presenting, especially, whether it's like session 2 with some of the people that may not come to Shorewood as frequently, or some of the representatives, when I tell them, I don't know what their reaction will be when I let them know that it's video recorded. So that's one thing, I have no idea what the reaction would be.
Could we, if they object, then just not videotape that session?
That's certainly an option that we could certainly do. But that would be the one thing that all the presenters here, I would follow up and kind of gauge their comfort level with the video camera, because some of the people presenting, I don't know if they've even ever presented in front of a video camera before, so I don't know what the comfort level would be. But that's something that if the board has interest, I can gauge with the presenters. So yeah, there's definitely advantages and disadvantages with it, but just with me thinking about it today, I mean those would be some of the ones I would list. Yeah.
So that could be one of the advantages of Trustee Maher's approach to let the first one just go without it, and then you be able to get a feel for what might make sense.
I mean, the advantage of that is by year 2, this is the second time they're going through the presentation, so maybe they're going to be a little bit comfort. But my other counterpoint as I think about this out loud is, basically they're just talking about everything they do on a daily basis. So they're going to be very comfortable talking about these subject matters. So I don't know if they even need practice. So, it's one of the things that, there's pluses and minuses with, and just as a board, whatever your comfort level is, I can make it happen.
Just for a frame of reference, years ago, one of the partners did the work for St. Francis, and as I was the young attorney, got directed to participate in the Citizens Police Academy. And that was, again, it was basically, even though it was Citizens Police Academy, they touched on a lot of these other things. And we did it all pro bono, and we just came in, and everybody that was there did it because they thought it was important, and they donated their time. And I found out it was officials from the various departments of the village coming in and talking about what they do on a daily basis. And then you think you're going to get these final exam questions, like in college, where what if this happens, that happens? And the questions you get are very basic in terms of, structurally, what do you do and who do you respond to? And if we want to see this change happen in the municipality, how do we do that? Hey, I know that stuff. It's pretty basic stuff that it just ends up more as a conversation with people. And they find it turns more into, rather than a rote presentation like you're in a classroom, it's more of an interactive kind of a thing. And the two I did, they asked me to do one session on how the municipal court plays a role and how does municipal court work, and it was 2 hours. And I thought, I had a couple of videos I had to show. I had a little true false thing to see what people thought about court. And it went by like that, and we were off script after about 10 minutes because people just had questions. And so I think it'll be just, you've got Lena Taylor here and Gwen Moore coming in and David going. It's just going to be people coming. If it's like it was in St. Francis, it's going to be staff coming in for 20 or 30 minutes on donating some of their time and basically talking about what they do during the day. And then the way that the sessions go kind of are dictated by the 20 people that you have in the room. So I don't know if that helps. I just thought I'd throw that in. That was my experience personally for how it works.
Yeah, I think the investment really is on creating that group atmosphere so that it is a conversation and that relationships form, and then, creativity of what to do with that new knowledge comes out and interacts with the community. And if there is an opportunity with video, I think that it's really easy to get bad quality video. It's a lot harder to get good quality video, and I would feel very strongly that I would want approval on anything that came out of this that was used as any kind of marketing tool that we put on the website. So I would like that to be a separate kind of exploratory discussion or procedure, and I don't even know what that would look like. I'm all for using everything we do as an opportunity to communicate and engage more people, but I really feel strongly about it being well thought out, highly produced, and of really high quality. And I don't know that, I just really like this proposal, and I'd like to see it happen. And then if we can make something even better happen as a result, I'm all for it, but I don't want to make it conditional on starting the program.
And I want to support this program. So, without making any conditions, is it possible to not videotape it this year, but when you're setting up your speakers or whatever you do, asking in future years, would you have any objectives, so we can gauge whether we have a problem there or not? Because I think it's a really lost opportunity, and I'm going to guess I would love to see those results, and I would like to see how many people actually say I would have a problem with them.
I can't imagine that our county supervisor
Right.
or elected
Or a
representatives
director
would
or
have
a
an issue.
budget.
And frankly, of all of these, I would be most interested in watching a videotape of the county executive and county supervisor.
Right.
I mean, that's who I would be interested in seeing, what they think and feel about issues in Shorewood. So I can't imagine that anyone would have an issue. And I'm also concerned about the investment of staff time, as I've already said. And although there is no fiscal actual reporting in here, which I think is, I would have liked to have seen some indication of what the cost is to the village, and I feel that's lacking in the report here. So I have to agree with Trustee Rozek that we're a lot more effective, we're leveraging, and we're getting a lot more out of it if we can videotape these. And I don't agree that they are at any point for marketing. This is purely public information and communication to the public. Our marketing efforts are a whole other ball of wax. So I would support, I can make a motion, or I would support a motion to proceed with this, with the revision that we videotape.
We have a motion already.
Okay, then I will move to amend the motion unless you want to.
Wait, amend it? What's the motion?
I can do that.
There's a motion that's been seconded, right? So you're going to amend.
Wait, what's the motion?
To authorize staff to implement the Village of Shorewood Citizens Academy as outlined in the program proposal.
I'll offer an amendment.
And I think there's already one.
No, I said if she wants to, I can do it, or she can.
So I'd like to offer an amendment to authorize the program with the condition that we reach out to the speakers. I don't know how this is going to be written, so bear with me for a second. So we move ahead with planning to videotape the sessions, and anyone who has...
We plan them.
How do we say this? I authorize this program.
Subject to the condition that sessions be videotaped.
unless declined by the speaker. So you're going to problem. Can you say that better for me?
Is there a second on that?
A second.
So now we have to take that motion first then?
And just to clarify, just the presentations or
Just the
the Q&A as well?
I'm-
I mean, there could be Q&A mixed in too, so that's why it's a little difficult, but.
So,
So we have a motion, and there was wait one second, right?
right,
And now we have to move to amend the motion.
so now we have
So we
to,
need a second on that.
and it's been seconded.
Okay.
And now we have discussion on that and vote on that amendment. Okay, discussion on the amendment.
Yeah, so was it the exact proposed amendment, what's being recorded? Is there a condition limit to the recording, or is there just the whole session, 6 sessions be recorded unless the speaker declines to be?
Well, then the participants would always, the students, or the attendees would also have to give permission to be videotaped.
It's a public meeting, though, even though it's privately held, so do they have to give permission?
It's not a posted meeting.
But it's
I mean, I
public
thought the
resource,
way we were
it's
moving
public.
was we're gonna do the first session
We amended that.
without making it. So you're amending it where you want the first session to have
So
the
each-
possibility
yeah,
of.
Unless the,
Okay.
so if you need clarification.
Okay,
it
I
would
will
just be
probably
the-
vote against that,
I know.
just to let you
So it'll
know.
just be, to make it easier, it'll be the presentations. It won't be the tour, it won't be the formal question and answers. If there's questions during the presentation, it's the presentation.
So, back to Tyler, if they do, it becomes a rolling discussion, it sounds like, is what really happens. And it's really not part of the presentation, but then there's just an exchange of concepts. I mean, it's a friendly discussion
Right.
once you get going. You're recording, how is he supposed to break up the present? What is he supposed to
Okay,
be
the whole
doing?
thing, just not the tours. Anything stationary.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, anything stationary, like presentation, questions and answers in a room.
Let's do this, so let's restate the motion, the motion to amend, so that everybody knows what they're voting. I think the notes that I have is move to approve program subject to requirement that the presentations be recorded if the presenter consents to the recording. Is that right?
That was the session, not just the presentations. I thought you just changed it to the entire session.
It's your motion, so did I misspeak? I'm trying to, put it on the floor so everybody understands what they're voting on. And also to make sure we get it correct for the minutes as well. Just want you to explain it one more time and make sure that we have the language correct.
Why don't you state off that was subject to the condition that all sessions are recorded with the exception of tours or off-site
Off-site. Yeah, you need
sessions.
Good time in a second.
all sessions on site are recorded.
All right, so the motion is to amend the main motion, subject to a condition that all sessions are recorded with the exception of any tours or off-site sessions.
Off-site excursions
Or the presenter declines.
Unless declined by the speaker.
and we could always let participants know in advertising that presentations, question and answers, you may appear on videotape that may be posted on the village YouTube channel.
Any discussion, are we,
We have a second?
we have a second, I think, but any more discussion?
I guess the only thing that I would object to in that would be I guess we're stating it as someone would need to object, not we're going to ask for approval. We're going to give them this disclaimer, would be my understanding that you may be okay, and that if someone were to say no.
Yeah, I think that
It's
the,
at a time, right?
the
We make a
participant-
call.
I could do that.
we're investing in the classrooms 20 people to be ambassadors, and I think they deserve more of a say. I just think it sets up a double message, that it's not as welcoming to be told that they have to be videotaped and that they may appear on video. So I object to the amended motion.
I just think if we're going to the effort to put together this great public information program, to the extent that it's a valuable program and worth doing, it's worth doing in a manner that can then be more widely disseminated.
And we
So
have
I'm not sure I understand the objection to making this program that we all feel is so valuable, more available to more people.
I'm hearing you said editing. Editing video, I mean, creating video presentations or recording trainings is it takes a bit of time, especially if you're going to edit them and stuff. I guess I thought I would be inclined to let the first session run and then would discuss with Tyler, thinking about how video recording could be integrated and used in this training to expand its use in other aspects. But I wouldn't want to bog down the program until we've seen how it runs and allow the speakers to get organized.
I don't know how it would bog it down. That's my
I think it could.
Yeah.
I think that some people may object, and you're just adding a layer of,
But what if we have those same objections? I mean, I hear from the participants here that next year would be a better time, but those objections are going to be the same.
I agree. I agree. I will probably object in the same ways next year,
Right.
although there may be ways to get around it. Not get around it. I would be open to discussing it again in a year. I would discuss it any year that I'm on the board. I do believe that if you run a program like this, it's always good to reevaluate and look for opportunities that haven't been explored, and then to do that thoughtfully and planfully. And I would call the question. Or, it's your call, but
I just have one more thing. And then
I have more comment too.
I just, my hesitation to vote for the program is that the objections to be, I would vote for the program if I knew somehow formally that we would be videotaping next year. I would be fine with letting it roll, okay, for a year, get people practicing. But there's nothing in the original motion that guarantees me that. And from the discussion today, hearing some of the objections, which is, they're not going to be resolved by a year's passage of time. They're objections to videotaping because the participants might be uncomfortable. So that's a valid objection. And I don't know that that can change in a year. So if it was just the objection of the program, we want to get people practicing, we might, get people comfortable with the presentations, and next year we'll let us, we'll try videotaping it and see what the impact is. I can do that. But if the objections are, I don't think it would work for this program because it would have an impact on the participants, that objection is not going to necessarily change. So I won't be able to vote for the program without some concrete something. I might even amend the amendment, whoever could, but to say we'll videotape next year after we do this trial run. But not knowing that we're ever going to videotape it, I don't feel the investment is worth the time for 20 people. I feel like we should be always maximizing our ability to spread the word about what is going on in the village of Shorewood. And so if there isn't some kind of guarantee that next year we would be able to do that, I would have to vote against the program. But I do think it's a beautiful program. I just wanted to show people the investment that we're putting in.
I think
I
that,
just wanted to add that,
and I have another comment as well.
well, I had said that I had another comment before she started saying something, so. I just wanted to add that this issue about people being uncomfortable being videotaped, I think is somewhat a generational issue because, I think people younger than all of us in this room have, actually want to be videotaped and love to see themselves on YouTube. They're really glad to. So I'm not sure that this whole question of being uncomfortable being videotaped and on social media is something that is as widespread as maybe we might think.
I actually, I might have been misunderstood. I don't think, my concern is not that participants might be uncomfortable, because I usually don't vote on mics. You know, I really vote on a philosophy of, I think that I love the idea of putting videos on our website that discuss, that educate residents about village government and what different departments do, and putting a face on that. And I think that that is a separate project from this program. I think what's special about this program is creating this environment where there's this conversation that's organic based on the group that's there. So anyway, I just wanted to say it's not because I'm uncomfortable about what might happen.
And
It's
if we
more
were
about,
to do that as a separate project, this project could inform that.
it could, and the residents could give feedback about how that might be useful, and they could actually, the participants, and then it also would have a budget
Okay.
line.
All right, I'm going to call a question on the amendment now. So all in, let's see, how do we do this?
Well.
What's a yes or a no mean on this? I want to make sure that,
Well, okay, the yes would be to amend
okay.
the motion to approve the program subject to the recording and discussing. If you want to read it one more time, so everybody knows what they're-
Subject to a condition that all sessions are recorded with the exception of any tours or off-site sessions unless declined by the speaker.
So you're just voting on the amendment now, then you'll,
Right.
if it passes or fails, then you vote on the underlying.
Okay. So all in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
No.
It's 3-3, and then you should reflect in the minutes as well. So we can go.
How are we going to do that? Who voted aye?
That's right.
So that's a roll.
Who voted nay?
I'd like to withdraw my original motion and change it
Wait a minute,
to,
Well, wait a minute, we're not done here.
you got everything over there?
Ayes were Amenta, Bockhorst, and Rozak. Nays, McKay, Johnson, and Maher. Is that correct?
Say that again, because you went way too fast.
Sorry. I was Amenta, Bockhorst, and Rozak. Nays were McKay, Johnson, and Maher. Is that correct?
Okay. So it fails because of tie, right?
So now back to
Now we're back to the original
the original
motion.
motion.
So read the original motion. So,
Authorize staff to implement the Village of Shorewood Citizens Academy as outlined in the program proposal.
all in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
nay.
And that was 3-3.
The same.
Yep. So that means,
Same thing. Requires a majority of the ties.
okay.
The vision point.
Exciting time.
So that means it's done? At this point?
That's it?
It means that it can be brought back, but not by me, or, right?
I think so.
There is a, if you look in, chapter 155-16 discusses reconsideration votes for future events.
Okay.
Can we make another motion in regard to it or not? So could, for example, make a motion that we approve the program subject to a review and consideration for next year of videotaping.
I'll read you exactly what it says. It shall be in order for any member voting with the prevailing side to move for a reconsideration of the vote on any question immediately after such vote is had or at the next succeeding meeting. A motion to reconsider being put and lost shall not be renewed. So you get one
A
shot
motion to
at it.
reconsider what?
Once being put and lost shall not be renewed. So you can do it at the.
You can have a kick at the can right now.
Yep, you can.
Is it the same motion, or can you amend that motion?
So,
Hmm.
oh,
To reconsider. Reconsider.
Oh, so it's the same
Now, you
motion.
could make a
all right,
different motion.
I will
You could
make a motion
substantially
to
different
approve the
motion.
program with the condition that after the first year, we have an update from the village manager as to its effectiveness and evaluations, and that in year 2, we reconsider the question of videotaping sessions.
Could we have fiscal impact, or an assessment of fiscal impact, since we didn't have that this time?
I don't know if I can discuss this before it's seconded.
But I don't want to tell you, I think you have to decide whether you want to add that.
Yeah.
I guess I want to hear this again.
I didn't get all of it either.
I want to move approval of the program as presented, subject to condition 1, that we receive an evaluation, you're planning to do, you're planning to do formal evaluations, right? So that we receive copies of the formal evaluations and a report from the village manager's office on the effectiveness of the program.
Yes.
And it's subject to that next year,
By next year, the second session,
that would, within 2017, that we.
but this will be in 2017.
Okay, then in 20, but we'll be talking in 2017 about 2018. So when we talk in 2017, that we reconsider the question of videotaping witness
Still doesn't
sessions.
give you certainty that it'll be videotaped in year 2. So-
No, I just said we would reconsider.
So, you know,
You won't-
Right.
Does anyone second my motion?
I second.
Discussion?
Could I do the motion? I just want to make sure we've got the precise language on the motion.
All right, the motion is to approve the program as presented, subject to the board receiving copies of the evaluations and report from the village manager's office on the effectiveness of the program. And that in year 2, or in 2017, the board reconsider the question of videotaping the sessions.
Any discussion?
I know where you're going. If I was to support it, I would like to know that there would be a question on the evaluation forms that basically asks every participant if they would mind being videotaped. And if the majority of the participants say we wouldn't have minded, then we automatically videotape year 2. Otherwise.
Which you may or may not get some of the people coming back for year 2.
Right, but it's a sample.
It's a sample.
But it's a sample.
And
Right.
it's the best we're gonna get, because I don't think there's a problem with this, and I think
Sounds good to
without
me.
giving any certainty here that we will videotape, there's not a problem with sample participants, I still can't support it. So is there any way you can amend the motion?
Trustee me to amend.
You can also, if you want to change it, you
Yeah,
can also
friendly.
withdraw that.
I'll just withdraw my motion. I don't know.
I mean, if you want to make that change, just as procedurally easier to know in the minutes, that's.
Well, I mean, I think what Allison is asking is for more certainty about the videotaping. And,
Well, she was asking in a different way, though. She was asking that in the evaluations,
The presenters.
the presenters are specifically asked whether they would mind being videotaped in future presentations.
the presenters or the participants?
It could be both. So would you have mind, you know, if you do this again, would you mind it having been videotaped?
Yeah.
And if the majority of people say no, then we move forward with videotaping the following year.
Could we make this a pilot and we revisit it once we have 1 year's experience and we actually look at the evaluations? I mean, we've done that on a lot of programs where we're going into it, especially now that we've got this whole, we may decide to do other aspects. I'm uncomfortable locking it in on one condition when there may be other conditions that you might want to consider in video. Maybe by then we've already decided, you know, we're videotaping Tanya separately, or
But this is people outside the village. I mean, I heard you, that we, for village marketing purposes, we could do our own departments and have little snippets of presentation and it'll be a different thing. But this is capturing the entire village. You've got your schools, you've got your bid director, you have your library, you have your senior center. So that's a little different than strictly marketing the village departments. This is more of, I mean, putting in this much time and contacting this many people to put together is a fabulous idea. And I just am trying to ensure that we reach more than 20 people for the time investment that we're putting in. And I don't want to not the following year it get voted down and we still only reach 20 people. So I wouldn't vote for a program that only reaches 20 people. I'm hoping we reach a little bit larger.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the point is, I mean, I agree with you, and I think it's absolutely logical, since we're putting the time in to present this, to capture it on video and have it as a resource for a broader audience. But I mean, given, is it worth saying we're not going to do it at all because we don't have a majority tonight? I mean, even though I agree with you, I think it's thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and that's why. Yeah, that's why I'm saying. I don't know that logically there's a way to lock in that we have to do it the second year. You know, I mean, to tie it to evaluations is so far off in the future and kind of a difficult condition to impose at this point in time. So I guess
Can we just ask the question then? Can we at least put it on evaluation, that question?
yeah, I agree with that absolutely. I mean, I don't know the way.
So how would you do that? We have to get it.
I can just make sure I do it. But if you want part of the motion, I understand, but I mean,
Is it?
I'm right, yeah, I mean, I will make sure it's part, but it's up to you if you want part of the motion.
So what was my motion?
Well, you withdrew it, didn't you?
No,
She was going to withdraw. Did you withdraw?
she made a new one.
Yes, after that she said.
Okay, what was my old one?
What's her,
I think I
what's her
should
last
withdraw.
motion?
This is
Oh,
as
this
bad
is gonna be a quick
as
meeting.
what we had a couple of.
Well, the one that I believe you said you withdrew was to approve the program as presented, subject to the board receiving copies of the evaluations and a report from the village manager's office on effectiveness of the program, and that in 2017, the board reconsidered the question of videotaping the sessions.
Based on. Is that the motion you'd like?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
Based on the.
There was,
Are you
are we
adding
just
based on
assuming that you
the?
didn't withdraw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I said it, you know, or I'll make it again, whatever. Now that we're on videotape, we're gonna, someone will look at the tape. I think I did withdraw, but I'll make it again.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, so it's adding that based on evaluations, we'll talk about video, or we'll just reconsider videotape?
Just reconsidering.
Well, I assume, you know, we'll have evaluations and that will inform our discussion.
Sure.
But it wasn't used,
Right.
what you said.
Didn't get it in.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure.
Any other discussion?
Just want to say it's a missed opportunity, but I will vote for
I
it.
think it's a missed opportunity as well, but it sounds like we have a lot of support for perhaps moving into the direction of offering the public video, which is very common for people to use instead of reading in this modern day. So anyway.
Any other discussion? Call a question. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Well done.
Everybody can relax.
Okay. Reports of village officials. You have any from the,
Oh, you're first.
Oh, yeah, I am, what's that? Let's see, did want to mention, oh, just a reminder, there's the foundation dinner coming up. That's all I have. I don't have a date in front of me right now.
September 24th, 6 to 9 at Harbor Chase.
Right,
For the Shorewood Foundation.
and you can buy tickets at the customer service desk right here. I know that because I did it today.
Excellent.
You can also buy them online.
Yes.
Pretty easy, you just have to do it.
And you gotta push all those buttons. Yes.
Surf Atwater was a big success. They changed the format to accommodate weather conditions, and it was really well received. And I've been into the new surf shop, and it's really super nice couple, very accommodating, very excited to be in the community. And I did want to say kudos to the Prospect neighborhood for persevering and completing that petition. That's a lot of work. And I was going to mention the Shorewood Foundation.
I want to first congratulate Jennifer Volpus, who's the newest member of our Parks Commission. She's here.
All right. All right.
Oh, she has been appointed yet.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Her
Excellent.
Excellent.
And I did want to
Current background check is
mention
still
in
on.
strategic initiatives, we talked about the community survey that we budgeted for this year. I know it's not agendized, but we do have a question about continuity, whether we keep the questions the same so that we have data that we can compare from year to year versus the other desire to update the questions or to ask questions that may be more relevant in 2016 than 2013. We in the committee didn't want to spend a lot of time rewriting the questions if there was not a feeling among the full board that changing the survey questions was the right direction to go in. So if you want to communicate with Tyler or Chris about if you have feelings about that, because we want to come to the full board next meeting, right?
Correct.
So and I guess we may be scheduling a special SIC meeting to discuss, to really get into the survey questions. But yeah, we didn't want to put forth the time and effort to do that if everyone felt, no, we should just keep it the same, so. That's all.
Just one thought. It's not binary. I mean, you can kind of keep it substantially the same and have some added things on it that are more pointing towards 2017. So
Right, you can add easily.
you just have to be careful not to add too much because then people won't want to fill out a 4-hour survey.
Right, but then the wording and all that,
Yeah.
that changes the continuity, and then it's a different kind of experience.
Well, there was some discussion from the consultant that even if the way we get the word out about the survey and distribute the survey is different, that's also a difference in who might respond and how people might respond. So, I mean, if we wanted to be technically perfect, we would do exactly what we did in 2013 about advertising and, but I don't.
But technically perfect isn't necessarily perfect.
Shorewood always does a mix, so.
I wanted to just report that I went to National Night Out with the police department and also left the public health and agencies, nonprofits, and our North Shore Fire Department. And it was a fabulous turnout, tons of children, and I think everybody had a great time. So I was really excited to see that. Also, next week, the Business Improvement District is going through their board strategic planning process for what they will eventually come up with to present to us for approval in their plan for next year and their budget for next year. And also, lastly, I have been recruited to be a jailmate for the Shorewood Games for the MAC Fund. So we will be having some sort of soiree to try to raise funds to get me out of jail. And all funds.
Are you gonna get an orange jumpsuit?
Yeah, they do.
Is that right? I still got one.
Oh, you don't have to give it back.
So donations would be
Probably-
fabulous.
It probably got ripped when I was trying to put it
How
on.
much can you raise?
$1,000.
Uh-oh. But you have till January, right?
So keep that in your
You might
mind.
have to have a lot of parties.
We will, and we will.
No. Any other reports?
The Budget and Finance Committee has its first budget session on, I think, next Tuesday, the 13th, which will be, I think, I don't know, it's total schedule, but it'll be the overview start. We should, I think, be getting the budget materials later this week. Mark's able to get them out. We have, this might be, do we have a meeting next Monday on Ford Refuge?
Yeah, I have something on my calendar as well. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
I guess,
For the 12th.
staff can confirm what the status of the 12th.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with Chris tomorrow.
Could you also send out, and maybe we've already seen this, but the final, sorry, check here. Meetings, all the rest of the budget meetings, because I know there was one date that, maybe it's a message.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not showing anything on the 12th.
Yeah, neither am I.
I have no.
I do, 6 to 9.
For what part of the meeting?
Garbage. Well, our refuge collection discussion, I thought we were, you
Collection.
said we were gonna have like 4 or 5 meetings on.
Yeah, I recall that.
So we need to know.
I'd be happy if we didn't have that.
Okay, any other?
I'll make sure we follow up tomorrow on those.
Thank you.
Copy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other reports? Any reports from the village manager's office?
No, I think probably the only thing in my world, last week we put on the village website the Shorewood Open Forum. So we just have a general question to begin, but as things come up, that's now another tool that we can utilize for civic engagement and get opinions on as items come up. So just know that that's an extra tool for those in the community.
Okay. Items for future consideration?
I'd like to discuss, the Wilson Drive Steering Committee has sent out some information to consultants on some of the complete streets and traffic, bike and pedestrian safety and other issues. And the budget that we initially approved was $15,000. And I think $2,500 of that was spent for whatever that thing's called, My Sidewalk Plus. So I'm concerned that the budget that we have for this initial consulting effort is not sufficient to get us where we need to be in terms of technical expertise to help the steering committee develop alternatives that are going to be really useful and worthwhile. So I would like to discuss another chunk, maybe $20,000, $25,000 that will be available for consulting services for the Wilson Drive process on the 19th. And I just want to point out, if we look at the planning, if we look at what we've expended on planning for example, the trails down by the river or for the police station, we spent substantially more than $10,000 or $12,000 for those types of efforts, and I see Wilson Drive as being equally important to the village. So I would like to see a little more significant investment in the planning effort here.
I would like to add from our discussion in community business development that we eventually, I don't know if it goes to committee and here, but somewhere talk and vote on adding a second 1 or 2 more cameras for the board committee rooms, just to take, potentially, us to take the board meetings. So I think we had 5,000 budget and we just spent 500.
And I guess, and I'd also like, and I don't know how we do this, but some things like the survey and some things are discussed in the other committees that I feel that I would like to attend as a board member, especially to hear the discussion and since. And I don't know if there's a way to do it, but just maybe we don't have to answer this now. Maybe Christine, you're a UPenn guy, but it would be interesting to know if there's a way to do some of the committee meetings earlier perhaps, and some later, flip-flop or whatever, especially meetings that some of us might really want to attend, and the Wilson Drive would be one of them too, but we don't, the three of us don't have the benefit of participating in it. And
That's always a difficult thing, but the intention is the committees do it, and then it comes to the full board, and the full board then
I understand, but part of making the decision is.
has the last crack at it.
Right, but you miss out on a lot of the discussion, a lot happens in committee meetings, and I'm not saying it should be mandatory, but if there are way, at times, especially that, what's called higher profile committees, if there were a way to schedule it so that, and I don't know, maybe the answer's no.
Okay, any other
Yeah,
items for future?
I'd like the JP&L maybe to discuss with staff. Initiatives and maybe increase the diversity of the staff, or what other activities enhance that area. We have some programs or trainings or how we advertise. Just a discussion with staff on that topic.
Okay.
You both have your hands up.
Okay, another thing, speaking recently with Trustee Nation, former Trustee Nation, it'll be on the next, okay, it's early voting, I guess, in the state of Wisconsin is no longer just the 2 weeks leading up to the election. And since this is a presidential year, and we want to always offer our citizenry as many opportunities to ease as possible as far as voting is concerned. Trustee McKay said it's going to be on the agenda item next time.
Or at the committee level.
Well, voting, the November election is coming up. So I guess what
At some point, you're going to miss improving the 2
Right.
weeks.
Right.
So I guess we would have to take action on the 19th.
Yeah, that's-
It requires action.
I would request that we move this for full board action on
yeah.
the 19th.
Let's say this,
What
if there's something
what
we
are
need.
you talking about, having village hall open late for the 2 weeks
No,
prior?
No, just regular hours,
Regular hours.
Oh.
but extended.
Not to extending it up to, I think, 6 weeks in advance is what you can do now. It's,
I'm not sure it's something
it
like
used to
that.
be 3 weeks before the state changed it in 2011 or 2012, reducing it to 2 weeks. And I don't know if the legislative changes now include the Monday before the election as they used to or not. No.
We still cannot do voting on the Monday before.
Okay, but you can do up to 6 weeks in advance?
I don't think there's a specific set time, it's based on when we receive ballots. So
Okay.
basically, as soon as we receive ballots, we are eligible to be able to start.
So how about this, we'll have it agenda appropriately if there's action we need to take by the end.
Can we agendize it as a general discussion of voting hours? We could potentially discuss extended hours maybe the week before.
And my last item would be, at some point, I'd like a discussion on how we determine or require documents to be posted on our website. So we have a document center, most of the folders are empty, so I'm just wondering, is that an internal policy? Is that, how do we decide what documents go on our website for public consumption? Developers agreements, purchasing contracts, I mean, how do we make that determination, just an understanding of that? It might just be a quick question for the village manager.
Yeah.
As a starting point. Well, I think, I'd like to know it, and then
To
I'd like-
review the policy.
Yeah, and whatever it is, like, have a discussion about that.
Got that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
This was a short meeting, we just said it.
I don't know if they look
I thought we'd be out for 8:30 today.
Sure.
So remember how I messed up that
Yeah, good. Okay, go ahead.
conference registration?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he told me it's gonna work with you, so I don't know what he said, but let me follow up. I'll let you know.
We meet with the firms.
And then, my question is.
The hybrid. That's what we were, I don't know why they found a C. No, that was what we talked about. Is the hybrid of the narrow out all the ideas under each one that we went and discussed in the last meeting.
So how's it going? There has to be a credit card
Now
on the
there's
reservation.
all so people on pipeline, it's like, well, actually people learn that.
Yeah.
Just, so we decided,
Okay.
you know, we really need some assistance here. Look at these ideas and cluster together and say, what's the best way to bump out, what, you know, just act, are we really gonna accomplish what we want?
Okay.
Well, slow, is it safer, you know, we said, well, and just to get some reaction.
You still, you need to make.
This place that,
Either the village is great, it's a really big company, maybe that's company, but
But it's reserved right now.
Give us a cursory look at the ideas floating around and react. And do like
Got it.
some rough drawings for.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know Chris will want to be the one to follow up with the two of you, but let me talk to him about it all so he can get a response out to you. Got it, yes, I can.
Okay.
Makes sense. Yep, thank you so much.
I just feel like, I just feel like.
Meeting right here.
Well, that's the actual engineer. That's the design.
25 minutes.
Right.
You know,
So.
I mean, if we're gonna spend that much on it, then put that on.
Oh, you're gonna,
Spend that much.
you're gonna spend $200,000. Wilson's gonna be.
Engineering. I feel like Wilson has a chance.
So I can follow you or I can follow you.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you can see the camera, but it's stopped.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Seats based on our discussion, sorry. Either that or we need to do some editing.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's gonna.
I can always do that too, but.
No, and,
Yeah.
yeah, that's part of it, because, I mean,
Yeah, no,
I'm not
no,
sure.
no,
So, everybody said, well, stop, all back off, and go, but we didn't have the, you know, she's the one that has the expertise and Road is the village engineer, I mean, but.
You're on that.
Right, she's trying.
So I've worked out.
And she-
It's inexplainable how this works different.
Yeah.
People don't know, because most people, you know, they interact with them. It's secret here, you know, like they're not. Right, so. You know what's going on? Yeah, I don't know.